Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into something really fundamental: how to build a good argument and, maybe more importantly, how to spot a bad one.
Exactly. We're aiming to give you a toolkit, really, a way to check if the views you hold are actually defensible.
It's a critical skill, isn't it? I mean, good arguments improve pretty much every discussion, from work stuff to, sorting things out at home.
Absolutely. And the key insight, which feels a bit backwards at first, is that you get really good at making strong arguments by studying the weak ones, the fallacies.
Right. You need to know what not to do.
Mm.
So where do we start? Is there like a code of conduct before we even get to the arguments themselves?
There is. Think of it as the rules of engagement for any rational discussion. It's about finding the best position, not just winning.
Okay. So rule number one.
It's the fallibility principle. We sometimes call it the Socrates step.
Knowing that you know nothing. Or, well, knowing that you might be wrong.
Pretty much. You have to be willing right from the start to accept that your initial view might not actually be the strongest one.
And if someone isn't willing, if they just dig their heels in,
Then honestly, the conversation's kind of pointless from an intellectual standpoint. They're signaling they won't change their mind no matter what. Admitting you could be wrong is...
well, it's step one.
Okay, that makes sense. So be open to being wrong. What's next?
That leads straight into the truth-seeking principle. You commit to actually looking for the truth or, the most defensible position you can find.
Which means not just defending your own corner.
Right. It means actively looking for criticism of your own arguments and really considering the other side's points. Seriously considering them.
Got it. Then we get into the actual mechanics, right? Who has to prove what?
Yep, the burden of proof principle.
Mm.
Generally, if you're putting forward an idea, you're the proponent, and the burden's on you.
So if someone challenges me and asks, why? Or how do you know that? I need to back it up.
You need to provide an argument, yes. Reasons.
But hang on, does that apply to everything? Like if I say Paris is the capital of France and someone says, prove it, do I have to whip out a map? No, good point. There's an exception. If the claim is really uncontroversial, like basic common knowledge or something super well established.
Like Paris being the capital of France.
Exactly. Then the burden actually flips. The challenger needs to explain why they're doubting something so widely accepted.
Okay, that distinction is important. What else is in this code?
The last one is crucial, especially for understanding others. It's the principle of charity, the fairness rule.
Fairness.
How so? If you're restating someone else's argument, maybe to clarify it or analyze it, you absolutely must present it in its strongest possible version, the best version that fits what they were trying to say.
So no deliberately making their argument sound weaker just so you can knock it down easily.
Yeah.
No straw man.
Exactly. It's also just practical. Deal with the strongest version up front. It saves time because they won't come back later saying, that's not what I meant. Attack the best argument they have.
Okay, the code is set. Be open to being wrong, seek truth, know who needs to provide proof, and be fair to others' arguments. Now, how do we judge the arguments themselves? The quality check.
Right. Now we get to the 5 criteria. These are non-negotiable. If an argument fails even one of these, it's technically fallacious. It fails.
5 criteria. Let's take them one by one. Number 1.
Criterion 1. The structural principle. This is about basic logical form. Does the argument actually hang together?
Structure.
You mean like grammar?
No, more like the logical plumbing. Do the reasons actually support the conclusion? For instance, if your reasons contradict your conclusion, that's a structural failure. Yeah. Or if it's an invalid deductive argument, meaning the conclusion can't logically follow from the premises given.
Okay, so the basic logic has to work. What's criterion 2?
Criterion 2, the relevance principle. This one sounds obvious, but oh boy, is it violated often.
I bet. So the reasons have to actually be relevant to the conclusion. They have to provide at least some evidence or support for the conclusion. Bringing up true but totally unrelated facts doesn't help. It just muddies the water, wastes time.
Yeah, I see that all the time. Distractions. Criterion 3.
Criterion 3, the acceptability principle. Are the reasons themselves likely to be accepted by a reasonable, mature person?
What counts as acceptable? Just common sense.
It needs a bit more rigor. Things like undisputed common knowledge, yes. Or claims confirmed by personal experience, if that's relevant. Or, importantly, information backed by a readily available, credible authority.
So, not just something everyone knows if that everyone is wrong, or if experts disagree.
Precisely. Acceptability means a rational person who's reasonably informed on the topic would likely concede the premise is true or at least plausible.
Okay. Structure, relevance, acceptability. What's number 4?
Criterion 4, the sufficiency principle. This is about weight and quantity. Are the reasons provided enough in number, kind, and weight to actually justify believing the conclusion?
Ah, so this is where weak evidence falls down.
Yeah. Exactly. Think about arguments based on just one anecdote, or drawing a huge conclusion from a tiny, unrepresentative sample, like asking 3 friends their opinion on a national issue.
Or maybe just missing a crucial piece of evidence that you really need to make the link.
Spot on. You need enough of the right kind of evidence.
Right. That leaves one more. You said this one is often the decider.
Yes. Criterion 5, the rebuttal principle. This is, I think, the hardest and the one most people neglect.
Rebuttal. So dealing with counter-arguments.
Dealing effectively with them. A really strong argument doesn't just present its case, it anticipates and neutralizes the most serious criticisms against it, or against the position it supports.
So you have to think about why someone might disagree and address that proactively.
Yes, you have to tackle the strongest objections head-on. And here's the thing. Often, when you have 2 arguments that seem equally good on the first 4 criteria, good structure, relevant premises, acceptable reasons, sufficient evidence, better argument, the truly defensible one is the one that handles the rebuttals more effectively.
That's a powerful framework. Structure, relevance, acceptability, sufficiency, rebuttal. Okay, let's make this concrete. Can we look at some common ways arguments fail these tests? Maybe starting with structural flaws, criterion 1.
Definitely. A classic structural fallacy is begging the question.
Circular reasoning, right.
Yeah.
Where the argument just kind of assumes the thing it's trying to prove.
Exactly. The conclusion is smuggled into the premises. It doesn't actually establish anything new.
What's a simple example?
The most basic form is literally arguing in a circle, like saying, reading is fun because it brings me lots of enjoyment.
Okay, yeah, fun and enjoyment are pretty much the same thing there. It's like saying X is true because X is true.
Precisely. The premise, it brings me enjoyment, only works if you already accept the conclusion reading is fun. Structurally, it goes nowhere.
That one seems easy to spot if you look closely. Are there sneakier versions?
Oh, yes. Question-begging language is much more subtle.
How does that work?
It uses loaded, biased, or slanted words that implicitly assume the conclusion is true before any argument is given.
Like name-calling embedded in the description.
Kind of. Imagine a realtor trying to steer you away from a house by calling it that tacky little shack. The word tacky isn't presented as a conclusion based on evidence. It's dropped in early, as if it's an established fact, to prejudice you against the house. The language itself is doing the work that reasons should be doing.
Right, that's clever but dishonest. Okay, let's shift. What about failures in relevance, criterion 2, or that tough one, rebuttal, criterion 5?
Yeah.
These seem super common in everyday debates.
They are incredibly common. Let's start with a relevance failure. The appeal to tradition.
We've always done it this way argument.
Exactly. It's trying to persuade someone based only on respect for a custom or tradition, especially when there are more important things to consider.
Give me an example.
Well, someone might argue that a certain social custom, maybe like a woman automatically taking her husband's last name, should continue just because that's the tradition.
But what if there are, say, arguments about gender equality or legal consistency that suggest maybe it's time to rethink it?
That's the point. If there are relevant moral, legal, or political reasons to question the practice, simply saying it's tradition is irrelevant to those reasons. Tradition might have some weight if all else is equal, but it rarely outweighs substantive, ethical, or practical concerns.
So tradition isn't a reason in itself when facing actual issues. Okay. Now, for the rebuttal failures, criterion 5, you mentioned attacking the person.
Yes, the whole family of ad hominem fallacies, Latin for to the person. This is the classic move. Instead of addressing the substance of an argument or criticism, you attack the person presenting it.
Why do people do that? Just to distract?
It's an avoidance tactic, pure and simple. You sidestep your responsibility to actually rebut the point being made. The critic's personal traits, motives, or circumstances are almost always irrelevant to the logical validity of their argument.
Okay, what are some common types?
One is poisoning the well. This is where you try to discredit a person before they even speak or dismiss their argument based on their circumstances or presumed motives.
Like saying someone can't have a valid opinion on childcare because they don't have kids.
Or, the example we used earlier, telling a priest his marriage advice is worthless because he's never been married.
Right. Their personal situation doesn't automatically mean their reasoning is bad.
Exactly. You're attacking the source, not the argument. It's a way to dodge the rebuttal obligation.
And what about that thing kids do? Yeah, well, you do it too.
The two wrongs fallacy, often called tu quoque, meaning you too.
How does that work as a fallacy?
You try to justify your own questionable action or flawed argument by pointing out that your critic, or someone else, does the same thing or has the same flaw. How can you criticize my spending habits? You waste money too.
But maybe they do waste money too. Does that make your spending okay?
No. That's the crucial insight. Pointing out hypocrisy or inconsistency in your critic saying, do as I say, not as I do, might be factually true, but it does absolutely nothing to address the substance of the original criticism against your behavior or argument. It's pure deflection, a total failure to rebut the point raised.
Wow. Okay, this whole framework, the code of conduct, and the 5 criteria is incredibly useful for cutting through noise.
It really is. And remember that rebuttal principle. When you see two sides, and both seem to have structured, relevant, acceptable, and sufficient points, dig into how they handle the counterarguments. That's often where the most defensible position reveals itself.
So wrapping this up for our listeners, what's the big takeaway? If you encounter a really solid argument, one that meets these criteria well,
then intellectually, you're kind of obligated to lean towards its conclusion. We can't always wait for absolute 100% proof that never comes.
right, if we did that, we'd never settle anything important.
Exactly. If someone presents an argument that clearly satisfies these 5 criteria better than the alternatives available, especially on rebuttal, the rational move is to accept it, at least provisionally. Consider the issue settled based on the best available reasoning.
That requires real intellectual honesty. Okay, so a final thought for people to chew on.
How about this? Try practicing the principle of charity this week. The next time you hear an argument you disagree with, maybe online, maybe from family, consciously stop yourself from just reacting.
And
Instead, try to rebuild their argument in your own mind. Make it the strongest possible version you can while still being faithful to what they likely intended. Then, see if you can refute that version.
if you could defeat the best version, then your own position is much more solid.
That's it. That's how you move from just having opinions to having truly defensible convictions.
Excellent advice. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.